we're back. Ellie 2.0 radio and podcast on AM 950. So check out Adam Kinzinger. That's not the last that we will hear from him. Trust me. And now for the big interview from somebody that we are going to hear from for the next 20 minutes or so. I am thrilled, just absolutely thrilled to introduce Nicki Hangsleben, who is the executive director of QUEERSPACE Collective. Nicki's got a bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota Carlson School, as well as an MBA from St. Thomas. Nicki, welcome to Ellie 2.0 Radio. I am thrilled that you're here.
Yeah. Hi, Ellie. It's so great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And we should let the audience know that you and I met each other not very long ago, just a couple of weeks ago. We were on a panel together out in Golden Valley. And but I think that we both liked each other based on, with panels, you just never know how it's going to go. Okay. I trust you've been there before with that person. Okay. Well, listen, I wanted to have you on because QUEERSPACE Collective is doing, it looks to me like phenomenal work. And it's innovative work as well. So why don't we just start out? Why don't you tell the audience, what is QUEERSPACE Collective? How did it come about? And, and you got you're like raising money for a big project. So what's going on?
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me on the show. QUEERSPACE Collective. So our mission is to create space for LGBTQ plus youth to feel safe and empowered to be their true selves. We launched in April of 2021. I was working on my MBA and was seeing a lot of the challenges that our young people were facing around suicidal ideation and depression. And we're in the middle of the pandemic. And so started talking to community about what kind of mentorship programs exist for our queer and trans youth, and heard there were none. And so it just started to gain momentum. And so we launched in April of 2021 and started with a mentorship program. And that's been kind of our primary focus. We've added on training and inclusivity training. And I'd love to chat more about that too. And in the fall, we are opening an LGBTQIA plus youth center right in the heart of Minneapolis. We don't have any youth centers, I don't think even across the Midwest, that support young people under the age of 18. So most LGBTQ centers are either in bigger cities, they serve adults, or they serve kind of college-aged youth. And so we're really excited to be opening this space. And lots of good stuff happening.
Well, let's talk about the mentorship program, because mentorship is incredibly important. I've been a mentor to a number of people. I just talked to yesterday a transgender law student who had never met a trans lawyer before and reached out to me and asked if we could meet. Cool. So there may be a mentorship that'll come out of that. But, so we're all familiar. Most of us are familiar with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which is also a mentorship program where you match a big with a little, and, they get together, they do some, activities like, sports or go out for meals or go to play, the arts or stuff like that. Tell us, is QUEERSPACE Collective, is it, analogous to Big Brothers, Big Sisters, what you're trying to do?
Yeah, definitely. We have two programs. We have two mentorship programs. One is our one-on-one mentorship program, which is very much like Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I sometimes call it the queer version of Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
Okay.
And they meet out in the community. We match them based on interests, based on identity, orientation, location. There's a whole host of things. And then we give the young person the right to choose, incorporating their voice on who do they want to be their mentor. Like you said, someone reached out to you who is a lawyer and is trans or wants to be a lawyer and wanted to meet a trans lawyer, right? Because you have that unique identity and that experience. So we match based on a lot of factors. And then we do a lot of group events because we know that young people want to meet other peers, that they want to see other thriving queer and trans adults in the community. So we do a lot of group events as well. And then we have our youth workshops, which is more of a group mentoring model. And this we started last year. A lot of the, we got some funding from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is super generous. And it's kind of like community ed for queer kids. So we partner with local organizations. So we just wrapped up a summer camp with Film North, where we bring in LGBTQIA mentors, and then we bring a bunch of our kids, and we do like a week-long camp program where they built films around identity and orientation. We've partnered with Bryant Lake Bowl to do a bowling initiative. We are doing a blacksmithing initiative coming up in a few weeks. And
Did you say Did you say blacksmithing?
Yes. Yeah, we found like a queer blacksmither in North Minneapolis. And then we're going to do a DJ initiative with Shannon Blowtorch, who's like an amazing local DJ here. So that's another way to like build community, because not all kids want to have that one-on-one mentor. Some just need more access to more queer peers and, young people in their lives. So
let me dig a little bit deeper into the mentorship program. Okay. So what is the age range for the youth that are on that side of the equation, the mentees?
So the mentees are ages 12 to 17 and are primarily referred in by either their caregivers or parents or a social worker or a therapist or someone in the community who sees that they need some additional support in their lives.
And I'm assuming, just based on what you just said, that excuse me, that you have to have parent or caregiver consent for the youth. It's not like, as you and I both know, there are unfortunately a large number of queer kids in families where the parents, at least one, maybe both, are unaccepting and unapproving.
Yep.
I'm assuming in that instance, the youth can't just ask to be a mentee. Am I right about that?
You're totally right. They can ask, but they do have to have parent permission.
Yeah.
So we know that's a big barrier, and that is why we're opening up the center in the fall. And we're going to have hours of operation where it's just come and hang out, and you don't have to have parent permission. It's like hanging out at the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club, like very much a community center. And then we'll have programming for them in this space.
Okay. I'm going to get to that. The center is like a whole different thing I want to talk to you about. It's such an exciting idea and concept, but because we may on this show have families with queer kids. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if they're listening to the show, I'm assuming they're accepting, okay, because they know who I am. But we also may have some queer adults. Mm-hmm. So what's the age range for your adult mentors?
Yes.
For this program?
Thanks for asking. Mentors are ages 25 and up. And we do thorough background checks, and you can apply and again, share all of your interests and why you want to be a mentor. And it's a little, there's training. It's pretty rigorous. We need to make sure that we're bringing in safe lives of these young folks. So I might have cut out there for a second.
Yeah, we had a little bit of buffering, but that's okay. I think we got the gist. Can you give us an idea how many matches do you have going on right at the moment? Is it 10? Is it,
like 50? I think we're currently supporting 50 matches.
All right, well, that's a great number. That really is.
Yeah.
Now, one more question. I'm sorry about being so thorough here, but I really, this is such a public service as well. And what's your geographic area? So I'm out in Victoria. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm out in like Carver County, red to purple Carver County. Are you accepting mentor? You're getting a gist here, aren't you? Yeah. Are you accepting mentors that far away or mentees that far away? Or do they have to be like in Hennepin and Ramsey counties?
So we're Twin City Metro. So we've had kids as far as St. Boniface all the way to Stillwater, and I think even up to Ham Lake. And then we also have a St. Cloud QUEERSPACE also. And we're not doing one-on-one mentorship there. We're doing more of the group mentorship model, youth workshops in St. Cloud because of a variety of reasons of that community. It's a little bit different. So we've created a structure that works for there. So yes, Ellie, we would love for you to sign up to be a mentor. And anyone else who's listening, we are always looking for more mentors. We have a lot of trans and gender nonconforming kids in our program. So we're always looking for more trans mentors specifically and BIPOC mentors as well. And so, yes.
Okay. Well, for the record, St. Bonnie is just next door to Victoria, just so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. The kids are coming from everywhere. So, sometimes if you're a little bit further out, it can be a longer wait to find someone who's close enough because, if it's too much driving, then it becomes a barrier for the mentor and then no one's set up for success. So we work really hard on, a lot of that. But a lot of caregivers, they want this for their kids. So they're often willing to help with driving and drop kids, off at like meeting points in between. We do a lot of that also.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's great about the mentorship. Let's talk about the gathering space, because are you fundraising for this space, or have you already got the money and you're building it out?
So another great question. Thank you. We are currently fundraising for this space. So it's being built as we speak. I just was there yesterday and they've recently put in carpet and a few of the windows. So we got a space right on the corner of Franklin and Lyndale Avenue in Minneapolis. It was a gutted building that we've totally been reworking to work for our space. We have our own private special little entrance, and in that it's going to be very much a flex space where we can host big group events. We can have it open to the public so young people can just come and hang out and grab a coffee or, get some resources, or, maybe they need a hygiene kit where, our intention is to really have a lot of support there, and then also just tap into other organizations. And really, we do a lot of partnering. So if someone comes and they need support on gender affirming care, we can refer them over to Family Tree Clinic and our partners over there. So we're in the middle of a campaign. We have raised, so our Create the Space campaign is $650,000. We've raised over half of it to date, and are hoping to raise the rest of it by the end of the year.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Let's tell people how they could donate to that, because it's such a rock star. It sounds like, the whole nonprofit seems like such a rock star concept. But if somebody wants to hey, I want to give some money to this place, what do they do?
Yes, you can go to our website, QUEERSPACEcollective.org, and donate there. You can do a general donation, or there's a full page and a link to donate specifically to this new youth center in this new space. And if you want to talk to myself or someone on the team, you can also reach out at info at queerspacecollective.org, and let us know you'd like to have a conversation, or you want to we're looking for significant donations. We're looking for smaller, like anything and everything in between. And we'd love to chat with you all more about it.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now let's talk about the part of QUEERSPACE Collective that's competing with Ellie Krug. And that would
We're not competing.
That would be your training.
We're working together on this
same
end goal to raise awareness and inclusivity. But so we have QueerSpace Training Institute, and that's where we do our LGBTQIA+ inclusivity training. The reason we started this is about a year into our programming, the YMCA reached out and they said, we have all of these summer camps and we would love for you to come and train our camp counselors on how to create more inclusive spaces at camp. And so
what a great idea.
Yeah. And most of the young people, they've been they know they're inclusive, but they don't always know how, what are the rules of the camp? How do you navigate parents who don't necessarily support? How do you deal with bullying? So just giving them more tools on how to create those inclusive spaces. And then we thought, oh, this is brilliant. This is a way that if we build this up, we can have more of that system level impact. That's not the deep direct service, mentorship, but can help create more inclusive spaces for young people everywhere. So we've worked with over 100 organizations. We just wrapped up a big project with Best Buy last year and did training with all of their teen tech centers across the country. And again, it's usually well-intended people who want to know how to support queer and trans youth. They just don't always know or have the resources or tools. And so we help them on their learning journey and provide resources. And, we're always looking for consultants with special expertise, Ellie. So maybe when someone needs like the legal expertise, you can be one of our QueerSpace consultants. And then
ring me up. We'll see. Although on a serious note, I mean, I don't know about, you haven't been, I've been doing this work since 2009 in one form or another. And it's historically has had its ups and downs. But I'm experiencing, and I'd be interested to hear what your team is experiencing. It is really, really a big down right now. I'm finding many organizations are very reluctant to do anything around anything that could be characterized as DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion work, and certainly very reticent about having a transgender woman come and speak to their team members for fear that 1 out of 100 people is going to be upset. They don't know how to deal with that one person. Have you seen any kind of a downturn, or maybe things are just going still well on your end?
I think corporate, we've seen, some corporations step back. We do still have a lot of great corporate partners who are always showing up. A lot of who is reaching out to us are smaller nonprofits, community organizations, governments, like the state of Minnesota. We're going to do training with some of their folks. So I think we've seen a little bit less of that on that side, but have also really just focused in on working with those spaces where young people show up and really, prioritizing those types of organizations, because there's people like you who are working with corporations and can do, bigger, broader work, right? DEI work. And our scope is pretty focused.
Yeah. And that may be the distinguishing factor. I don't know. We'll see, but my audience has heard me lament about how things have slowed down. And, and of course, just within the last 2 weeks, we've had Harley Davidson and John Deere, and now the maker of, I think Jim Beam has decided, I read yesterday, decided that they're pulling back, no more DEI work of any kind.
Yeah.
So,
really unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Back, right.
So let's, for a minute here, let's just talk about what it means to be a queer kid in America right now, and particularly in the Twin Cities. There's some depressing stats around homelessness because, literally kids do get kicked out of their homes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the Trevor Project does a lot of research, which is great because there haven't always been a lot of research about the broader LGBTQIA plus community, or especially young people.
Let me stop you. For a listener, Trevor's Project is literally a lifeline. It is a suicide prevention organization, but they do other things. But their key goal is to be suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth and adults.
Yep. And they have a lot of resources on their page or on their websites. But so the numbers fluctuate a little bit every year, but for the most part, we know that LGBTQIA plus youth are 4 to 5 times more likely than their hetero peers to attempt suicide. We know that 85% at least experience harassment at school on a regular basis. They make up 40% of the youth homeless population, as you were just noting. But we also know that if an LGBTQIA plus youth has at least one supportive adult in their life, then suicide rates go down by 40%.
Okay.
Which is really powerful and furthers why mentorship is so important.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm watching our time. So, Nicki, I told you this off air. Every person we have on, because this show is about idealism, about people trying to make positive differences in the world. And obviously, you are this matriarch, hope I can use that phrase, of this organization. You are the founder, you are leading it, You had a vision. You have built it. My hat is off to you. You've taken it from 0 in 3 years to like, holy cow. Okay. So way to go. Way to
Thank you.
go. Do you consider yourself an idealist? And if you do, okay, how did you get there? What was it about your makeup or somebody in your life or what happened to you to cause you to be idealistic?
Yeah, that's a big question. I feel like I could talk about that for an hour. I definitely feel like I'm an idealist. My grandmother was always like just really heart open and positive and always just sees all the beauty in life. And so I feel like it's part of my DNA and my genes, and my mom has that energy. But I remember even as a kid during, in the 80s when in the famines in Ethiopia, I remember being like really shook by that. I was a young kid, but I just saw that. And I just remember feeling like that, like the injustice of that and how we were so privileged. And just so identified that at a really young age, and in college started up a group called Sisters for Social Justice, and we did conferences. And I always thought I would be a teacher or like a politician or social worker. And
You're all that right. You're all of that right.
A little bit, but then I got an accounting degree, and I remember I went to my women's studies teacher and I was like, I'm totally selling out. I'm going to get a business degree. And she said, Nicki, all nonprofits need a great CFO. And that was like one of the best blessings I got at a young age, because it really taught me that, we all need to use our talents and plug in the ways that we can to make the world a better place. And so I worked at NPR with that degree for 10 years and then went into international development and did programming overseas. And then I felt like I wanted to do something closer to home. And so launched QUEERSPACE, and it's been an amazing journey. And I feel like it's such a gift that I get to use my talents and get paid to do this amazing work and really support our community. So I feel, yes, grateful and definitely an idealist, because I do think if we all contribute a little bit, like that's where we can affect change for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I'm grateful for you, Nicki, and I'm grateful that you were bold enough to just say, I've got this idea and I'm going to take it and go forward, and the history with many nonprofits is they fold after, just a few years.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you've been able to navigate that tricky course. So my hat is off to you. Okay.
Thank you.
And if there's anything that Ellie Krug can ever do for QUEERSPACE Collective, will you reach out to me? Okay. I believe in what you're doing and what your mission is. And I look forward to hearing more in the future about all the great work that you and your team are doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Ellie. Really appreciate you as well and all the work you're doing. And yeah, I'm so glad we met a few weeks ago. Like I said, I've seen you out there and I'm like, oh, she looks cool. I got to connect with her someday. So what a treat. And then I got to be on your show. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Well, thanks, Nicki. All right, listeners, we've been speaking with Nicki Hangsleben, who is the executive director of QUEERSPACE Collective. Go check them out at queerspacecollective.org. And if you can, think about, contributing a few bucks. All right. When we come back from our break, we're going to do my C block, where I talk about my work as an idealist. And you're listening to me, Ellie Krug, on AM 950, Ellie 2.0 radio. If you like what you hear, go visit my website at elliekrug.com. We'll be back in a sec.